While Bruce Lee had found success as an actor and martial artist before he died on the 20th of July 1973 on aged 32, it was after his untimely and mysterious death that he went from an up-and-coming talent to a worldwide icon. Since he died before becoming a truly A-list star, and considering this was well before the internet allowed fans to research every little thing about the celebrities they adored, there has been a steady stream of revelations about Lee since his death that came as a surprise to the general public. This is things that came out about Bruce Lee after he died. Bruce Lee thought he would lose a fight with Muhammad Ali. Because they were two famous athletes at the peak of their talents, many people in the early 1970s wanted a particular fight, Bruce Lee versus Muhammad Ali. The fact that they were trained in two totally different disciplines wasn't an issue for the fans, who were sure it would be an epic matchup. Lee appreciated Ali's talents enough to study tapes of his 1966 boxing match against Cleveland Williams to get inspiration for the climactic fight scene in The Way of the Dragon. Robert Klaus, the director of that film's sequel Enter the Dragon, says there was more to watching these tapes than just creating awesome fight scenes. Lee was obviously aware that fans were dreaming of a bout between the two iconic men. Lee said, "Everybody says I must fight Ali someday. I'm studying every move he makes. I'm getting to know how he thinks and moves." But while Bruce Lee was proud of the fact that he was an elite athlete when it came to martial arts, he was not delusional. He understood the reality of what would happen if he, a 5'7", 145-pound man, fought the 6'3", 210-pound boxer. Lee said, "Look at my hand, that's a little Chinese hand, he'd kill me." So while Lee's untimely death put an end to the speculation the pair would spar, it sounds like he never would have agreed to it anyway. He was on a liquid diet. Bruce Lee knew how good his shredded physique looked on film, and he took extreme steps to get that look. According to his wife, before he died, Lee was living on what was essentially a liquid diet. His food intake was almost completely limited to carrot and apple juice. While this was obviously not healthy and could have done damage to him long term, there is a theory that it had a far worse and much quicker effect on him than that. Lee's death was due to swelling of the brain, but the big mystery has always been what caused such a severe symptom in someone so young and seemingly healthy. Officially, it was due to an allergic reaction to some headache medicine he took, but there are several other surprising theories on the cause of Bruce Lee's sudden death. One is that his excessive intake of water and other liquids is what killed him. Not only was he on a liquid diet, but he was in a very hot and humid environment in Hong Kong, as well as a heavy marijuana and hash user, all of which would cause him to feel thirsty. Excessive consumption of liquids could have damaged his kidneys, which meant too much water stayed in his body, leading to brain swelling. He had many affairs. Bruce Lee married his wife Linda on August 1964. She was already pregnant, which might account for why they got married so quickly. Having a wife and daughter at home didn't stop Lee from his Lothario ways, however, and he didn't wear a wedding ring. He had a steady stream of girlfriends up until he died. He kept the fact he was a married father from actor Thordis Brandt, who was shocked when she found out after months of dating. Sharon Farrell remembers Lee as a boyfriend in glowing tones, and Lee's frequent co-star Nora Miao has admitted the two had an affair when they were working together. While the wider world might not have known what a ladies' man Lee was until after he died, many of those around him were well aware. Betty Ting Pei says that not only was she always with him in Hong Kong, but everyone on set there knew the pair was dating. While Pei was single while she was seeing Lee, many of his other mistresses were not. Brandt had been in a relationship with her future husband, the actor James Arness, for years. Was a heavy user of marijuana and other drugs. Recreational drug use is perhaps not something you would immediately associate with someone whose career was built around his physical fitness. But Bruce Lee's friends remember him as someone who loved to party and was often misusing drugs. His drug of choice was weed, although he later moved on to hash. One time, Lee came to a friend's house with joints the size of cigars and passed them out to everyone there. Another friend remembers Lee eating hash brownies at the end of a workout. He also used harder drugs including cocaine and LSD. Publicly, he claimed martial arts was the better, more natural high. Aside from the stories of his friends and associates, proof of Lee's drug use was found in an unexpected place. Around 2020, someone discovered a cache of letters written by Lee at a flea market. They were eventually auctioned off for $160,000. Many were written to the actor Robert Baker, who, based on their correspondence, seemed to function as Lee's drug dealer. He underwent circumcision as an adult. Whether a man is circumcised depends on many factors, including the culture or religion he was raised in. In the majority of cases, the procedure is done on infants, but while Lee was born in San Francisco, he did not undergo circumcision as a child. This made sense considering his family's heritage, as Hong Kong has had a circumcision rate of around 10% for the past 2 generations. However, this made him a minority in the United States, where 83% of boys and men were circumcised in the 1960s. Once he was involved in sexual relationships with women, this was something that apparently bothered Lee. He decided to undergo the procedure as an adult, but even stranger, he decided to do it in Hong Kong instead of the US. A 1994 biography stated that it was actually his father who insisted Lee get circumcised. But as this makes far less sense than that, the actor decided to do it himself, probably after one of his American girlfriends commented on it. And biographer Matthew Polly believes this came from a mistranslation of Cantonese. In Polly's version of events, Lee was visiting Hong Kong at the age of 22 when he surprised the male members of his family and one of his students by telling them that he had just been circumcised. He almost died 10 weeks before his actual death. While many people are aware of the mysteries surrounding Bruce Lee's death, what you probably don't know is that he almost died just 2 months before, and in exactly the same way. Since he survived, we know what caused his symptoms the first time: heat stroke. This led biographer Matthew Polly to conclude that Lee probably eventually died from heat stroke as well. The first incident took place on the 10th of May 1973. It was a warm day in the always hot and humid Hong Kong. Lee was in a sound booth dubbing lines for one of his films, and while the room did have air conditioning, it had to be turned off so as to not ruin the noise on the takes. This meant he was in a small, hot, stuffy, humid room working for an extended period of time. Complicating matters was the fact that just weeks before, Bruce Lee had his armpit sweat glands removed. While this might have meant he would look better on film, it was not helpful when his body was overheating. Lee felt unwell and escaped to a bathroom where he fainted. He was discovered by a stagehand, fainted again, went into convulsions, and had difficulty breathing. He was drenched in sweat and burning up. Fortunately, on this occasion he was rushed to the hospital immediately and was treated in time, but barely.